Broker Daily Spotlight. Delving into the next big areas of focus in mortgage lending.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Broker Daily Spotlight. Your host Jack Campbell here for the third part of the Wave Money series. We've got a few new faces around the table. People who have been tuning in will know John Flavell already. No need to introduce, but I will anyway. John?
Thanks for having us back, and I'm looking forward to this afternoon. It'll be great, Jack. Not that I don't like spending time with you and Alex, but we've got some great people in with us this evening to have a chat with this afternoon, rather, to have a chat with, so it'll be great.
It will be great, and I like the headline here, Perspectives from the Frontline. I won't take credit for that. That was all Wendy behind the scenes. But our guests on today, we got Bill Childs from Limitless Lending Group and Sam Ayliffe from Astute, so two brokers ready to kick into some good conversations, and a bit of dichotomy between you two because you're the veteran, Sam. You've been in around the industry for 20-something years, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And Bill over here, who's sort of the new generation of broker. A lot of the content creation, growth-focused kind of stuff, which is exciting to see. I suppose, first off, Sam, you've been in around the industry for quite some time now, seen it evolve over the years, especially, post-COVID, the rise of tech, all those fun stuff that happened. What are the early days of broking like when you first joined?
Oh, it's very, very different. Compliance probably wasn't a word, although we still did the right thing. The applications were, 4 or 5 pages, manual applications. You're sending them on fax machines. You are actually aging me here. This is amazing. but no, it was less lenders, that you probably, that you're dealing with, less pressure with, the lenders as well. They were very, open arms and wanting to, to deal with you. Even though the market share was a lot smaller. When we started broking 25 years ago, we were probably 30% of the market. And now, as we know, we're 80% nearly, which is really cool to see, our industry evolve. I absolutely love it. But yeah, it was very, very different times. It was easier to get an application through if you were good at packaging an application. Notes were really important back then. You're telling a story. And you build a lot of relationships with the lenders, and you're getting a lot of the same people looking after you. Yeah. Now it's just a bigger beast, which is great. It's got to grow.
Well, I imagine 30% market share. Most of the people you're talking to that are going out getting loans aren't going to a broker. So what drew you into the industry?
Good question. I started early days working for one of the big banks, just in like sales and service telling. And then I kind of always believe you've got to go backwards to go forwards in my career. So I got approached. I worked for another finance company, which is more like the interest-free stuff. Used to run around in a Magna and go and pick up documents. That was pretty good fun. Yeah, that's right, with like the Harvey Normans and whatnot. But then went into. I got approached by a broker then to help them, set up a Northern Beaches office from home actually. And so I was his assistant, which comprised a few brokers, and then that grew to 3-4 times the size, and then they gave me a few assistants, and I really enjoyed being involved in that. And then the penny dropping for me was I didn't kind of like the direction they were going. There were some good people in there, and some people not the direction I wanted to go. So that made me work with my then business partner I had for the next 15 years. We started a business together, and it was for largely a very, very good journey of 15 years.
Yeah, it's a great story. And
it is.
I suppose speaking to someone that started back when market share was so small and how far it's grown, driving around in your Magmas, sort of completely different to Bill's story, because you're Coffs Harbour, right? And most of your clients are online.
Yeah, I do very little in Coffs. Mate, 5-10 loans ever, probably. It's all our inquiries from online, socials, as you guys know, TikTok, Instagram, and it doesn't matter where the clients are, which is really good because we can also have staff everywhere. It doesn't refine your talent of staff to one location where you've got your office. So yeah, the leads are, WA, Queensland, Victoria, New South Wales, all over the place. That's a good thing about broking now. We're not restrained at all, are we? So
yeah, and I like the work you've done in promoting social media to get across business, because you're very active on TikTok, Instagram, all the stuff that people are engaging with the younger audience, right?
Yeah. Well, I was saying to John before, but we've got really no referral partners at all, and every lead is just from socials. So it's different to what most brokers do, obviously, but there's also not a lot of competition in it because most brokers are either not doing it or, to be honest, not doing it that well.
Yeah, it speaks to how rapidly the industry is evolving, right? So would you pen the success you've had so quickly, being new to industry and writing big volumes to the people you've been able to access through social media?
Yeah, it's definitely, without the leads, you can't grow a business very fast. So we've gone from 1 to 8 in just over a year. And that's just been off the back of every month having too many deals to write than what we can get around. So if we can get the staff on board and have them write the deals, then there's no reason why it doesn't work.
Yeah, so definitely.
It's just about getting the right people. But again, that comes back to being able to go nationally rather than just being refined to Coffs. It's much easier to pick up talent, with a whole country to choose from rather than one area.
Yeah, 100%. And I know, John, you're very active across social media as well at Wave Money.
He's got a good marketing department. I learned something from this guy. Just keep learning from Bill. Yeah. But no, it's interesting, isn't it? And Sam, you and I have been at this a little while. And that 80-20 sort of 30-70 split back then, brokers, from what I remember, really had to sell, the proposition, what was broking to the end customer. I was inside a bank. I was at NAB for many years. I had to sell the value of broking to NAB because, at 30%, we don't need them. We could probably do this without them, sort of thing, etc. So I was really sort of pushing, this is why broker works. This is why, we needed to look at it. But from a broker perspective, you were selling something different there too. What was it that was compelling, you think, for customers back then?
Yeah, look, I mean, they just wanted to have more choice, I think.
Yeah.
And they felt people started to realise that it's not just about the bank that they bank with every day.
Yep.
There's more competition out there. And what I absolutely love about people choosing third party in the broker space is that we drive that competition. So, we really do make sure that, we give the clients that choice of having something extremely competitive. Back then, it was interesting because, if you go that 30%, 3 out of 10, it means that 7 of them weren't going to brokers.
Yep.
So where we had to build our relationships back then with real estates and solicitors and whatnot, it wasn't like there wasn't the online presence that we have today. But in doing that, it actually, it flowed on from there. So we start looking after them and they start sending their family and friends and go, hey, home loans in lenders that people didn't know about. And policies and products that brokers knew how to write and banks don't know. That's where, this industry really evolved, that, the broker third party has become so much more important. And every new customer that we meet, the first thing I ask them is, have they got a broker? Right? Because, most people should have a broker now at those percentages. And if they do, I ask them why they're not going back to them. And there's various reasons, right? So, but, we offer really good service. We like to say that we try and retain all of our clients, as every broker would, right? But the first thing I say to them is, congratulations for choosing third party. No matter whether you choose me or another, you need to be choosing third party because we're the reason why the market's competitive and we're the reason why you're finding lenders meeting your needs that you might otherwise not been able to achieve what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, for sure. And it's changed a bit too. So, and we're talking about the early, 2000s, pre the GFC, pre the iPhone, internet. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. But, it was about choice, and brokers gave consumers choice and access to a raft of lenders that they never had before, which is a big part of that proposition. And then the service and the relationship that you built with them over the years sort of, has been valuable. But now, Bill, I'm spoilt for choice. And in fact, I could just go to Google or showing that I'm not too old, or Perplexity. So I'm not that old at all. So, that's sort of how do you compete against, large language models and search engines? Because I can just go there, can't I? I can just go online.
Yeah, I think personality.
Yep.
Again, when you market, put your personality in it. Don't try and be square box. I think a lot of brokers, when they market, they are worried about saying something in case they say something that could be offensive to this person or offensive to that person. I think when I see a lot of brokers posting videos and content online trying to get leads, it's boring. It doesn't stand out. They're trying to, it's like a politician. When they try and play both sides, they don't appeal to anyone.
Yeah, right.
So, I'll say things that sometimes people don't like. A lot of it around landlords and owning properties and investing in property. And then a lot of the comments will be negative. So there'll be people saying you shouldn't own more than one property, you're an evil landlord, tax the rich, or whatever this stuff is. And then they'll start arguing with each other in the comments. And then next thing that is engagement. So it blows your video up. So the video goes from getting 1,000 views to 20, 50, 100,000 views.
Like a Coldplay concert.
Exactly. Yeah. That was good. That was good, mate. Yeah. So that was engaging. Everyone commented on it. And then, you know, it's gone viral. So it's the same thing. If you're trying to just, you know, please everyone, your videos are going to be probably boring.
Yeah.
And no one's going to notice you. And then, they may as well go to an online search for a bank or a broker or whatever. But if they remember you because you said something that was funny or you said something that they agree with, then they're going to come back to you. So
and that's what the attraction, or I suppose that's the point of differentiation, isn't it? How do you differentiate yourself in an online world where there's no paucity of information, and you get the opportunity to engage with them? But how do you sort of build relationships with borrowers that last for 20 years or more, Sam?
Yeah, look, twofold on that. First, the online presence with lenders. You know, the big thing that, you know, consumers don't realise and where we're so valuable is there's policy behind it. So, you know, not everyone's going to lend the same amount, not all the policies the same. So that's where we really get our purple thread as a broker, where we, you know, we know how to write a loan, whereas just because you find a cheap rate online on Google doesn't mean you can actually really get it. And what if you give that bank the wrong information?
Well, as you know, a lot of brokers, not a lot of clients come to us as brokers and they'll say, I can get 5.8% at CommBank, but they're self-employed. They started a year ago. You know, they've got multiple entities. They don't qualify for that at all anyway. So, and if they go to CommBank, get turned down, they might think, oh, we can't do anything. But us as brokers will know, well, we can take that somewhere else. We can take that to Wave. We can talk about it somewhere else. And that's next thing the client's got a house when they didn't think they could.
Yeah, that's right. And the cheapest rate today won't be tomorrow. And the big guys don't often have the cheapest rate.
Yeah,
you know, it's not about that. It's about the relationship and knowing how to get it done. Your question about the online, sorry, what was that first?
So I think, as I said, online's a great means by which you can attract people to you. You're going to differentiate, but to hang on to a relationship for 20 years, and you and I have talked about this before, you know, it's pretty nice when you can start to say, now I'm providing the solutions for the next generation. So people that you know, maybe got into their first home 20 years ago, you're now sort of, you know, doing the same for their kids, which is pretty good.
I think I said this to you last week. The favourite thing I do today is looking after the kids of my clients. So, you know, the mums and dads that have gone through that journey of, you know, of needing a home loan, buying their property, buying an investment property, you know, managing their wealth, because we have a wealth business as well. So we take them through onto that side, managing their super and things like that. Then when they get out of debt, they don't need the broker anymore. You know, so I become, you know, less important to that client. But now I'm looking after their 3 boys, for example, right? And so that's my favourite thing, is just being part of that family journey, right? Because, you know, I've done that the whole way through now. So, you know, so you're a lot earlier than me, obviously.
Yeah, I haven't
years
got
younger
anyone's
than me.
kids.
Yeah, exactly.
They haven't had their children.
But you know, I mean, well, the 2 favourite things I do, one for clients is I love looking after, you know, the generation, right? I love looking after that full family. And the second thing is I really love seeing, you know, the success of the younger team that I've got. You know, I really, you know, I get up every day because of the clients and, you know, growing their family and helping their kids get into their first properties. And I love that. And because there's so many different ways they can do it, but often they don't know how. That's another reason why third party is so important. And the policy is really important. But then the second thing I absolutely love about coming to the office is the younger ones in the office. You know, some of them have been with me for 5 years, 11 years. One of them's older than me, but she's been with me 21 years. You know, and, you know, I just love building their careers because I know that they're going to be in it longer than me. You know? So, you know, that's the other thing that I love doing.
And Sam, I imagine over your career, you've seen borrower expectations shift as well. I think, John, you were saying on the podcast last time, the fastest growing segment of borrowers, the self-employed, right?
Yeah, the biggest single, 17% of the Australian workforce is self-employed. And if you look at the expectation in terms of growth in the workforce, then it's self-employed. You know, small business, medium business, self-employed people. It's the real. It's the engine room of economic growth. It's I think the engine room in a lot of regards for innovation and creating vibrant communities and so forth as well. And there's been a real shift there. And I think, you know, people have an expectation now in terms of, you know, how and where they work and how long they're going to be. And it's, you know, it's nice. I think more people now are prepared to take a chance to have a go and to back themselves and to step out and build their own businesses. But a big challenge for them has always been, you know, finance, and not just finance into the business, but if I'm a self-employed person, then what sort of, what chance have I got of getting a mortgage or getting access to finance in the future as well? So
that self-employed market is a gold mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
It really is where brokers are really valuable, because we can read a balance sheet. It's the old days of 2 years of tax returns, and otherwise you can't get a loan, right? Well and truly gone.
Mass lending, accounts deck.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to remember a tax return today where we're sitting, a tax return that's still valid with the lenders is 30 June 2024, right?
Yeah.
Now that's more than a year ago.
Yeah.
And there's a lot's happened in a self-employed business in that last year. So the benefit we have with lenders like Wave is that you guys take more of a overview of what that business has done. You take it as a recent overview. You'll let annualized income work. Still got to be validated. Still got to be factual because there used to be the old low doc days where people could sign an income. God, the people that wrote those, who knows what was doing that. But now it's not just signing off an income. It's actually, you got to substantiate it, but you can substantiate it with 12 months BAS or even 6 months BAS, Why penalise someone that started a business and started really well? I mean, isn't the statistic in Australia something like 80% of new businesses fail in the first 12 months, which means that, you've got 80%, well, you've got significantly more after 12 months with a success rate, like that kind of halves. And then it goes, and then third year it's like 80%, succeed. So I mean, why are we penalising them and wanting 2 years returns? So I think it's a very big shift, but it's made broker really important. And also, those self-employed businesses need to get tools to help them grow their business, right? Invest in their business. So us as a broker, we're not just a broker in the lending space. We can look after, being a fully integrated financial services model. We can look after the equipment piece. We can help them fit it out. We can help them with vehicles. Help them put more, staff on board with trades and utes and things like that. It's important.
Yeah, and look at if they have equity in their own home, if they have equity in residential property, and they want to access that equity and use it for business purposes, why should they be penalised? Why should they be precluded from getting access to it? It's
definitely if it makes sense. It's a bit more. If it makes sense, and there's equity in there. So the risk is really with the customer with the equity because it's their home often, right? Or an investment property. But, the risk is for the lender as well that it's got to make sense and they've got to qualify for it. But does it really matter if it's for business use or if it's for private use? If they've got some equity and they've got the revenue and you can determine that, then let's back them, right?
Absolutely.
You back small business, then, Australia goes a long way.
Yeah,
There's a lot of employment in
it's
small
dead
business.
right. Absolutely. As I said, the engine room is sort of where the growth in new jobs is coming and where, innovation and entrepreneurialism is born. And so enabling that it's vital. It's absolutely vital. And brokers, no surprises, but if you say, well, brokers make up 80% of all mortgage lending is done through brokers. I think for that self-employed business segment, I think it'd probably be more like 95% would go to brokers because the difficulty and the nuance. And then built at another sort of part of the market. So, we talk about people building businesses and building their personal wealth and taking care of their families and what have you, which is fantastic, which is great. But then there's another, class of people, and I know that your business is particularly focused on investors building wealth for themselves and their families and so forth. So is that sort of, part of the market that you stumbled upon, or how is it that you sort of focused your effort on that?
Yeah, so I have, as you know, properties myself. I've got 8 properties and I'm market on that, really. I talk about it, market on it, but I talk about it. And that attracts clients that either have 3, 4, 5 properties themselves, 2, 3, whatever, or want to do that. And a lot of them are, by the time you have 2, 3 properties, 4 properties, you're thinking about buying through a trust with a company trustee. You might be self-employed. You might have, multiple self-employed entities. We do a lot of that. So for those guys to go to a major bank, if they've got multiple entities, they've got properties in trusts and companies and stuff like that, it's hard. And there is not many options for those guys with lenders that actually understand it. So that's why we've done a lot of lending lately with you guys. And if you look at most of those loans, they're company trust type deals for investors that have multi-property portfolios already. And a lot of the time, complex business structures. So, for example, it might be lending off 2 quarters BAS, buying through a trust with a company trustee, and then they've got another trust that is profitable, which we've got an accountant's letter, which Wave is happy to take, accountant's letter if that entity is profitable. And it's just hard to get that sorted out at a lot of the banks. I know because I tried to do it myself years ago, and just trying to do it for clients, there's a lot less options in that space. So we use Wave a lot because one, the product is good, the rates are pretty good for what the lending is, and then the people is the main reason. So if we have an issue, we can call them up and talk to Tyler, head of credit, and go over an issue with him. I was at the office today and they were working out a deal and how to get something done, and looking at going through the financials, 4 or 5 people around looking at what can
Did they get it done?
Yeah, they
I'm
got
pleased.
it done. Yeah,
That's
Adam's
good.
seen it. Yeah.
That's good.
Adam was stressed for a minute there, but everyone just came around and workshopped it, and you're not going to get that at a big 4 lender or a major lender. You're not going to get that back and forth with a credit team about explaining, like we're talking about before, broken notes are very important, especially in complex deals like that. But the other part is a credit assessor actually understanding those notes, because the notes are no good to you if the credit assessor's been on the job 6 months and doesn't know what they're looking at.
And that goes beyond making your life easier. That means you can be more efficient for your client, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, again, and if we know that a deal is going to be picked up in 2-3 days, as opposed to sitting in a queue for 2-3 weeks, that's the difference between getting a property or not. If your finance clauses 5 days, 10 days.
It also lets those investors scale quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at the end of the day, if they have to wait for the banks to be okay with revenue to be in there, that could be another year, that could be another 10% growth in a certain market or so that they want to get in. So it lets someone that wants to be a professional investor actually get further ahead quicker. And the policy with Wave, and the benefit of having a policy that's flexible, but also makes sense, common sense, is really important. But the thing that we absolutely love with the Wave relationship is that you actually keep the assessor all the way through. So it's not like you've assessed the deal and then someone else picks it up and wants to find something else in it. It actually, they back each other, but the same assessor takes it through. And Tyler, head of credit, he's excellent. You're right.
Yeah, Tyler's good. They got Tyler done my personal ones. I got 3 or 4.
Yes.
Wave,
Excellent.
So,
That's great.
Sorted it out. And that was complex because business is new, multiple entities, multiple businesses. But you just common sense. Makes it all work and gets the deal done.
And I think that maybe fair value, and then relationship, like you said, you take great pleasure in providing loans to your initial clients' children, 20 years on and so forth, and so building that relationship is incredibly important, and being able to have a discussion with someone and that they know you and you don't need to relitigate it and you don't get sort of switched to somebody
that's right.
else. That's what bank managers used to be. Don't tell anybody, but that's what they used to be. They used to be able to make decisions. They used to be part of the community. The same person was there. You say you have customers walk their kids into your office and say, this is Sam, this is your broker. Well, 30 years ago, people like my dad would have walked me into the bank and said, this is the bank manager, this is my son, he's good, and this is who you're going to bank. So it changes, doesn't it?
And part of it is just the sheer size of the banks now as well.
There's
thousands of credit assessors, hundreds or probably thousands.
The good
in
credit
banks.
assessers and the good bankers become brokers now.
That's it. That's true.
And the other ones, they might just be lifelong institutionalized. That's okay. It's, I think that the limit that they'll hit on their earning capability is not what we can do as a broker. But you've got to, as a broker, you've got to get into the right network and have the right support and the right team around you. But gone are the days of, I don't think necessarily gone, let's say, but we're a long way away from having the personal banker look after a client now. It's really the personal broker looking after a client now.
Absolutely.
Because, we can be a whole lot more to that client, a lot more important.
I completely agree. And, somebody sort of said something to me the other day. Guess what I said? I was having a chat with another broker. And I was saying, look, our expectation is there are a large number of lenders out there, and you're going to be focused on finding the best solution for your borrower, wherever that might be. And that's great. And that's the way it should be. And the strength of the relationship that you have with your borrowers is, look, here I am, I'm your broker. I'll understand your circumstances. I'll understand how they change. You're going to have many different properties. You're going to have many different mortgages over your financial lifetime, but you only need to have the one broker. And I understand. And it's no surprises, it's 80%.
Well, imagine if you've got, 5, 10 properties, 2, 3 businesses, some of our clients have 10, 12
Mm.
trusts.
Mm.
Like explaining that to a new broker, let alone a new credit assessor every time you're at a bank is a nightmare. So the broker, if you can get the client when they're early on in the journey and then help them build from 2 or 3 to 6, 8, 10 properties, whatever they want to do with a growing business, that's a lot of business you get from one client. So it's good for the broker and it's good for the client, but it's also efficient for both because you don't have to learn about a new client, a new scenario every time as well.
If you've got to relitigate every single time, it's ineffective. It's frustrating too. It's frustrating. So
I think that's the one constant across all the years. Like you could probably speak to it more, Sam, but the human connection has remained throughout broking. Is that
definitely
the strongest proposition that you guys have?
Yeah, it is. I definitely lean on my team more than, hands on myself. I haven't lodged an application myself in a long time. My team do it for me, right? So as probably with you as well. But it's changed a lot, but that relationship is really, really tight. People, bring us for anything, right? So even if I even had a client ask me about transferring money one day, right? It's just, that's how far that they want us involved in their financial life, right? I mean, banks resist to give us, authority for, certain things because they don't want to lose control with the client. Or they want to be seen as, we've got the client now. But I think the big thing is that as a broker, we have our clients, right? The bank that understands, like Wave understands, that when we introduce a client to Wave, we're your client.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
bringing our clients to you, right? So some of the bigger banks and other banks that take the mentality of, I'll take the client now. It's no, I'm still your client.
Yeah, that's right.
You're just looking after my clients. And that's where, and that's why a lot of people stay in choosing third party, choosing broker, because, it's a relationship. We're there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel when you come back and you haven't spoken to them for a couple of years or whatever and they want to buy another investment property. It's like, we've got a file on you. We'll make this easy. You just need this stuff updated, right? So technology is easy for us too, right? It's really good. Sure, we've got to do a lot more with it. But, we already know these customers. And then when they're giving their family and friends, they're like, you just got to do a little bit of work the first time, but then you're in. Once you're in, you're in. You don't need, you don't need to worry about anything else.
Yeah. If you can get us the documents, we can do most of the other stuff. You just need to get those documents up front, which is the hard part. A lot of people organising everything.
That's
right. It is.
It's
they
like
they forget their banking password and stuff like that.
It's like, this is so much information. I'm like, well, we just got to get to know each other. I say to people, just treat it as a brain dump. Just put it all in there as quick as you can, and we'll go through what's right and wrong. But then once we understand that, we understand you, and we can look after you for your full financial life, and that's the difference.
Right. I say to people, if you were going to lend someone $1 million, how much would you want to know about them?
Yeah.
So
it's a fair question, isn't it?
Very good point.
It's a very fair question. I think people get frustrated though, isn't it? It's sort of, there's the information that you want without actually.
Sometimes it's ridiculous.
This is the thing. Is sort of, does this actually add? I mean, look, let's put it first sort of principles is that, you're in the business of meeting your customers' needs and providing them access to finance. We're in the business of providing a solution to you to deliver to your customers, which is giving them access to finance. But the last thing we want to do, and I know we've had discussions about this before, is the last thing anybody wants to do is to put anybody into a situation where they're beyond their capacity. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. And people talk about all of the positives that brokers deliver, and we can deliver with you as a non-bank lender, and helping people grow their property portfolio and grow their business, and that's fantastic, and that's why, and we should be focused on that. But when you see somebody in a difficult situation where they've been given access to funding that they otherwise shouldn't have, it's terrible. It's terrible, and getting that balance right. And so, I suppose from our perspective, we want to know the information that's pertinent that can help us, make sure that we're providing somebody with a solution that's going to be fair, it's going to be reasonable, it's going to meet their needs, and they're not digging themselves a hole. But you can understand why people have a bit of an allergic reaction to it when they've been asked for so much information that's not relevant, it's not poignant. And to your point, Sam, in so many instances, it's rear vision mirror stuff. It's talk to me about my financials in 23. I'm looking forward. I'm a business owner. I'm looking forward.
Sam would know, but a lot of the time you lodge an application to certain banks are worse than others, but they're looking for a reason to decline it through the whole deal. It just feels like you just got to prove the client all the time. And it's you go to someone that actually looks at how they can improve it instead.
Yeah.
It's a
Build
difference in time frame is just huge, and stress on the client and stress on the broker and everything like that. It's crazy.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
I mean, the assessors that are assessing a deal at lenders to try and look for something to decline it is there's not many of them anymore, but they still exist. The best assessors, and Wave have a great panel of assessors working through with credit. They look for a solution. Right, because brokers are solution providers these days. Right? People come to us to find a solution. But I always, back to your point before too, John, is I always say to people, I want you to like me the day you get your keys, right? Or you take your loan. But also want you to like me the month after when you're making your repayments.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's what's really important, right?
I want them to make the repayments.
Yeah, that's right. But we want to make sure we're putting in something they're comfortable with. Right? We don't want to exhaust someone's limit. We want to put someone into something that they're comfortable with, that it makes sense. And that they know that they can, live and pay their mortgage.
I want them to make their payments. It's exactly the same thing. No point putting somebody in beyond their
definitely
beyond their capacity.
Yeah, that's right. And Wave has a really good policy around looking at the now on the client, right? You are looking at what they've done. You are looking at the strength of who they are. You're looking at the asset backing of them. But you are looking at what's real now. Is this business, are they making good money now? Does it make sense? Can we ride it? And that's where Wave picks up a lot of business from us. You guys are actually allowing clients to be able to utilize their current circumstance and get into a market when some of the others may not have let them necessarily.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's there are people trying to enter the market as well as those that are starting businesses or those that are building their investment portfolios. So, if you're new into the market and so forth, and I was having a chat with our head of credit about this today, looking at a credit score for a young borrower. It was 320 odd or something. They'd never had a credit event or a default or anything such in their life, but they'd made application for finance for some short-term sort of store finance and what have you. But this is a person that had taken themselves through uni. They'd completed a degree. They were solid. They were sound, and what have you. And if you looked at their sort of credit score, there wouldn't be a major bank in the country that would have touched them. Not because there'd been any adverse conduct. It's just because
the rating.
Because there's the number.
Well, it's an auto decline.
It's an auto decline.
Nice.
It doesn't fit. And so in that instance, it was like, well, let's pick the telephone up and have a conversation with the broker.
The real story.
What's the story? Oh, great young person. Exactly.
It's an important message. And I think something that has to be discussed, which is why we do podcasts like this. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I did want to throw to one question to Sam and Bill before we finish. What's one bit of advice, Bill, that you'd give to a new to market broker?
New to market broker, I would say get your first few clients. I get a lot of new brokers hit me up and they say that they want to, market on socials and stuff like that, how I get leads. But I would say to a new broker, get your first few clients, your first 5-10 deals or something like that, and then leverage off them. So, close friends, family is probably going to be your first few deals. Ease into it. Don't try and, smash yourself with applications before you know what you're doing. But get your first few deals done and then leverage that. So do a good job when you start out, and you're going to get referrals from that. And then, if you want to start creating content based off the back of what John bought, what Ben bought or whatever that did it through you, there you go. There's your content for the next few deals. But don't try and, fake it that you've done stuff when you haven't or something like that. Just be honest with people and start out slow, do a good job. And before you know, you'll be pretty busy. If you do a good job, it's not very hard to get business in this business, is it, Sam? It's just,
no, it's not.
It hits you. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I love that. And that content creation is still top of mind for you. And
it is, yeah.
It's encouraging to see.
If you are going to be consistent at it, you got to be consistent. I did it for 6 months and I didn't get a lead. And then a few months later, I was getting over 100, 200 leads a month. So, if you post videos, people hit me up and say, I've been posting on socials, but it doesn't work for me. I can't get any leads from it. And I say, well, how many posts have you done? They say, I've done 7 over the past 2 months. So no one knows who you are. Do it every single day for 6 months and then see if there's a result.
Consistency is key. And Sam, how would you answer that question?
Surround yourself. Get involved in surrounding yourself with people that that you want to be like as well. Don't be shy to be part of a really good team. Don't try and do it yourself. I think that, a one-man band broker is a tough gig. It's a bit of a lonely gig. I think if you can get around, people that are successful and like-minded people, then I do think that that'll help you drive. Partnerships and relationships are really important with lenders, but, with, your network around. Don't be shy in asking for business. Don't be shy in putting yourself out there on social
Leverage
media.
your bank BDMs.
Yeah,
well.
correct. Leverage your networks, right? At the end of the day, a broker is really a social employment, really. I absolutely love being a broker. I have more coffees a day than I probably should, but it's because I'm often having coffees with those relationships that I've got and built, and they're always supporting it. So, don't be shy to partner with the right people, right? And also don't make fast decisions. Just, be very measured on your decision on what you want to do with your business, because you can take it anywhere you like, but have a goal, have a dream, aim for it, and just surround yourself with really talented people. That's what I think.
Well, I love that, and some great advice to round out the episode. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but Bill, Sam, John, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
us.
Jack. Much appreciated.
Thanks, guys. It was just
That was
a
good. Thanks,
great
John.
opportunity
Great.
to have a wonderful chat with some super experienced, competent, capable, well-respected brokers and some of the brightest sort of rising
Influencing
star.
market.
But it's what makes this industry good. It's great. It's the people, it's the relationships and what have you that you can build. And whether somebody's been in the industry for a shorter period of time or been in it for 20 years, they're great people doing great things and delivering great outcomes for customers. And that's where Wave really likes to work with people too. So thanks for having us, Jack.
No
Brilliant.
worries. It's
Thank
great
you.
to see that the industry is in good hands. If you want to reach out to Bill or Sam or John, you can reach out to me and I'll put you in contact. Editor at Broker Daily. If you want to see more podcasts, go to brokerdaily.au. Thanks again for joining.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.